Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kim Barrett Show. I am your host, Kim Barrett. And on today's episode, we are joined by Michelle Hext. Now, if you're someone who's ever wanted to have a high ticket offer, you are going to want to check this episode out. She dives into all things high ticket offers and shares a little bit about how she created her 5K formula. Now, if that's you, you want to check this one out. And of course, if we can help you market yourself, market your offer, head over to www.joinmygroup.com.au, where you'll be able to join our free Facebook community where we go live every single week. All the value, all the fun, all the good stuff, all the good people are in there. But until then, let's jump into the show. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you making the time.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. Now, I always like to kick off the podcast the same way every time, which is if I met you at a party and you and I were chatting and I said, Michelle, what is it that you actually do? What's your go-to answer?
I would probably say that I am a high ticket offer strategist, launch and scale strategist.
I like it. And now, so high ticket offers, for some people that maybe haven't heard about high ticket offers before, what's your definition? Because I know for some people, like, $500 or $1,000 can seem high ticket, but what's your definition on that term?
Yeah, I think there are many. Mine doesn't have a monetary value. It's just looking at the individual clients that I work with and have a look at, what have they been offering? What is the price point that they've been operating at? And usually they're undercharging and they're not attracting great clients a lot of the time. So for me, high ticket it's not in the hundreds, that's for sure. It's usually not in the low thousands either, but I have clients who have been working and charging $100 an hour for their coaching. And for me to help them pull together a $2,500 coaching package feels high ticket to them. And so it is, and then I have clients at the other end of the spectrum. One last month sold an $85,000 paid in full upfront coaching package. That's definitely high ticket. So it really varies and it depends on the client. But for me, I guess the factors that go into high ticket are you charging a premium price to deliver premium service so that you can execute a premium result at the end of the day.
Amazing. And how did you get into the high ticket coaching of offers segment? Did you just come out and you were like, cool, everyone's undercharging? Or were you like many people who realized they were charging McDonald's hourly rates and then wanted to do something about it? Or
yeah, no, I think for me, I'd been selling a lot of 12-month programs. So 12-month masterminds and offers and things like that. I ran a 12-month academy, an online academy. And I was really bored with it. I was just over the length of time. And I just felt like I want to do something really, really short and sharp. And I thought, what is the thing that's going to have the most impact for people? And what is it that they really struggle with? And I guess another way to look at it was, what's the first step in my system? And the first thing is helping them to figure out, like, what is their zone of genius in their coaching space? What's the sweet spot? And then how do we price and package it to make it attractive to clients? And then, get them to go and sell those first clients. And so even in my one-on-one work, when I work with my private clients, the first thing that we did was I would help them to figure out how to package and price, usually an offer that was equivalent to what I was charging at the time, so that we could, that they knew that they were going to get a return on investment pretty quickly working with me. And so, I started just really getting good at pricing and packaging. And I launched a program called the 5K Formula for Coaches. And the tagline is called Create and Sell Your First $5,000 Coaching Package in 4 weeks or less. And so I started selling that. And again, I was working with clients who were charging, a couple of $100 or $100 for coaching. And a lot of them weren't even doing like $2,000 a month in their coaching business. And so when I was running the 5K formula, I developed it and thought, you know what, this is a private coaching package. I'm going to charge $5,000 for it. And then, I'm going to deliver that result. And people were selling between 2 and 4. And I think the most somebody ever sold in 4 weeks was $5,000 coaching packages, which is big for these coaches who had never gained traction before. And so for me, my pricing, I just decided that I was going to charge based on the results that I was delivering. And so the better my results got, the higher my fee went, essentially.
And how did you find that shift in your mindset? Because I know a lot of people, when they start out, as you mentioned, they might be charging $50 an hour, $100, or they might have we have worked with a lot of agencies as well, where they might charge $1,000 a month. And it's almost like they have they're scared to charge that 3, 5, 10, or like 85,000 paying full US. Like it's a scary thing to do. How did you personally overcome that? And then how do you help clients through that as well?
Yeah, good question. So for me, really, it all fell into place with the 5K formula. It was just such a beautiful package. I trademarked it. It was like, this is just a winning formula, and it was, the shift that I made really was, I looked at the offer. I knew that I'd been doing this. So with my private clients, that I was charging about $5,000 a month back then, US, and they would basically say, here's my money. I want to work with you for longer than a month. So I really need to make some sales. And my practical brain just went, cool, we need to create a $5,000 offer and sell it. And I'd been doing that for a long time with my clients. And so I was able to make that shift because I knew that I could deliver that. I got really confident. I tested the system. It was working over and over and over again. And so for me, that shift was pretty easy because it was a no-brainer, really. If you're going to pay me $5,000, even if you only sold one, you've covered my costs and now you know how to do it. So it was like teaching them to fish. And then when it comes to my clients, it's the same kind of deal. It all comes down to confidence. And I believe that confident coaches are successful coaches. And so what I helped them to do was develop the framework for delivering the result. So I call it a client success pathway. And so if my client knows the result that they want to deliver, and we can map out the steps that they're going to take their clients through to achieve it, then they lean into that system. They know that they've got this framework that they can feel confident in. And then usually I don't want them charging anything less than $5,000. But if I can see they're a little bit freaked out about it, I'm like, the system, we know the system works and all that's fine. Let's just sell it for $3,000, a couple of times and get you over the hurdle. And psychologically, they can't do $5,000, but they can do $3,000. I don't care. I just want them to sell it. And so they go and they sell a couple of those. And then I'm straight away, okay, they're selling at $3,000. We put it up to $5,000. And so I have to push them. Even that client that just recently sold the 85,000 program, that was a 12-month program. And I messaged her just last week and I said, that's got to be 6 months. Like 12 months is too long. So same price, same thing, but we're going to half the time. She's like, cool. Yeah. But she wouldn't have thought of it on her own. She would have just, you know what I mean? So for me, it's like, it's always pushing them to take that next step before they're a little bit ready, and then just, holding their hand to make sure that they actually do it.
I think that's so important. As you mentioned there as well, is making sure they have their system that they can follow that achieves that predictable result. Because I think a lot of times where I've seen anyway, coaches where they fall down is they shoot from the hip and they're like, they know they're good at what they can do and they can help them achieve the outcome. But because they're always just spitballing and they're just, just going, oh, just do this. And they're not taking someone through a succinct process. Even though they know they can do a good result, they don't have that, as you said, that extreme level of like confidence and certainty in it. So it's very refreshing to hear that that's what you encourage them to do. And then also give them that little bit of a push, because I think sometimes it's hard to, to read the label when you're inside the bottle and they're like, oh, I couldn't possibly. And then, there's probably coaches listening and then they're like, oh, well, someone just got paid 85,000 US to do some work. So surely there's value in it. So that's very amazing to hear.
Yeah. And that particular client has already generated, she's an e-commerce coach, and I think she's already generated an extra couple of mil in that business in the space of a couple of months, so she's definitely delivering the results. And, as you were just saying before about, they know that they can do it and all the rest of it, but a lot of them are still thinking it's a fluke, or they might not be able to do it again. But when you build out that framework and you test it, and that's really as simple as just saying, okay, so what's the result that I'm delivering? When my clients come to me, like, where are they? And then just go, well, what's the first thing that I do when a client comes to me? There's your first step. And then what's the next thing that I do? And then what's the next thing that I do? And it's that simple, really. And just, making it fancy if you want on a PDF document, you can laminate it, whatever you want. But so long as you know that you've got a system there for that you can lean into, and the coaching is variable, right? Because people are different and they have different challenges and things like that, although they're typically generally pretty much the same. But it's like when you've got the framework, that's always going to stand up, and then you get to move with the clients with regards to how fast they go through, helping them overcome resistance and all those different bits and pieces that are all critical.
I love that. Now, for people that are out there that are hearing this and then they're starting to come up with all these excuses in their own mind around like, oh yeah, but like there's no way I could find these higher ticket clients. When people come to you and they go like, oh, but where am I going to get them from?
Yeah.
How do you help them overcome that little limiting belief?
Yeah, that's a good point. So usually they're basing that information, they're basing that opinion, I guess, on past experience. So they're basing it on the fact that they're probably not very clear in what they do or how they do it for people. Their messaging is probably a little bit all over the shop. And so people aren't really understanding it. And maybe some people might go, oh, yep, I think that's what they do. And they might jump on a few discovery calls and people are saying they can't afford it, which is usually code for I don't really want this or I don't really know what it is that you're going to do for me or whatever. And so, oh my God, I've lost my train of thought. What was the question?
So about like finding those high ticket clients when they go, I couldn't possibly find someone that's going to pay me, $5.
Yeah. And so it's a matter of just, obviously there's a lot of different ways that we can go about attracting clients. But if we're talking about organically, the first thing that you need to do is just get really clear on your offer. Like be super crystal clear on it, know what you're delivering. Package it up in a way that's really appealing to people because you're going to show up differently. When you've got a product you feel really confident in, you're going to bring a whole different energy to the internet and the messaging that you do. So the first thing is that, and then start showing up and being specific, being very specific about who you're talking to and the problem that you solve. And sometimes people feel like they're beating the same drum and they're saying the same thing over and over and over again, but that's okay. Do you know what I mean? It's okay. Like this is what you do. This is the problem you solve. This is your area of expertise. So it's okay to keep talking about those things. And then one of the things that I have my clients do is I say, have a look around. Let's add up everyone that's in your orbit right now. And so even if they're just starting out, they might have 100 followers on Facebook. They might have 200 followers on Instagram. They might have 30 people on their email list. They might have, all of those things, right? And I have them add them up. And I say, so how many people do you have in your world right now? And they're like, it's like 500 or 600. And I'm like, you just need one. You need one of those people. So I help them put it in perspective that the first client or the next client is within their orbit. They've got to say the right thing in the right way at the right time and have a really clear offer, and those people will respond. So it's not like you have to, and honestly, when I was running the 5K formula, whether it was a private package or even in group, everyone would say to me, I don't have anybody. I don't have anybody in my orbit who is going to sign up. And I'm like, okay, you'll be shocked. The person that you least think is going to be the person that says yes will be the person. And it was always the case. I had one client go through old email lists. She only had maybe 200 people. I'm like, see who's opening them. And, so if we're guerrillaing it, then that's what we do. Otherwise we go straight to paid traffic campaigns. But it's like, let's leverage what you already have because people are following you for a reason. They're just waiting for you to get your crap together and make sense. And when you do that, then they're going to respond.
Yeah, I think that's very important to for people to see. It's like most of the time it's the message that's not being communicated clearly enough, because if you're able to articulate exactly the outcome you can help people get in the way that they want to hear it, people would be knocking down the doors to work with most coaches. So that's amazing to hear as well. Now,
just an example, a quick example of messaging. So I remember one day I got to my Muay Thai class and I was an hour early. I just had my time wrong. I had a shower and stuff, but I had no makeup on. My hair was a bit of a mess and all the rest of it, but I had an hour and I'm sitting in my car and it's like, I'm just going to do a live stream. And I showed up and I spoke about messaging and consistency and authenticity and stuff like that. And later that day, before I even got off it, I had some messages. And one of the people that messaged me had put $22,000 in my account that same day because they wanted to get started, and that was because I showed, I said the right thing at the right time. And that person had been following me for such a long time. And it was just the right message at the right time. And that's what happens, right? And if I didn't show up that day, maybe next week or the week after or whatever, he might have had the same response. But it was a powerful moment in that time. And so we've got to remember that, sometimes it feels like no one's watching us and nobody's paying attention, but they are. The way that social media is these days, not everybody's commenting and liking and things like that because we're busy and we don't want to get caught in the comments and things like that. But it doesn't mean that people aren't watching. So, yeah.
And are there any other kind of hurdles that you've seen? Obviously, you've mentioned a few there that people face when they start to roll out the high ticket offers. Any other hurdles or pitfalls that you've seen, young players face when they come up to rolling out their first high ticket offer?
Yeah. So they will say things like people don't have the money because everybody that I'm attracting doesn't have the money. And I've got to just get them over that and help them to understand that it's not a money problem. It's really not. Because if you've got an offer, if you're solving a problem in the market that people really need a solution for, and you connect really well with that person, then they're going to say yes. And if somebody's on a discovery call with you, that means that it's yours to lose. You know what I mean? Like they want you to, they want help. So one of the things is the no money thing. So we've got to help them to get clear that people have money. They're saying no because of other reasons, but now they're going to say yes because we have all of these things in place. One other thing that's really common is they'll say, what if I'm charging this price and I don't get somebody doesn't get a result? And I always just let them know, well, you can stop worrying about that because it's going to happen. Like we're in an industry where 100% success rate is just not going to happen because we're dealing with humans. So that's going to happen. But if you hand on heart know that you're going to play your role, you're going to show up and deliver every single thing that you promised, then you have to feel good about that. What other people do, you can't control. So that's another thing. And probably the final thing is, when people have been coaching at that lower end, they usually have clients that are pretty high maintenance and draining, like very demanding. And so they have this idea that if people are paying them more, then they're going to have to work harder, that they're going to have to, they're going to be more demanding. And it's just not the truth. My fee is $10,000 US a month now, and I never hear from my clients in between unless I'm chasing them and asking them if they're okay or if they need anything. They get on those calls once a week, usually under half an hour, and off they go and they do the thing that they need to do. And that is the nature of a high ticket client. They're high level. They know what they need to do. They don't use you like Google. They just use you at that high level. So they're probably the three main things that people will make up stories in their head about and then use that as an excuse not to go forward.
Yeah, it reminds me of that. I don't know if you've probably seen that meme floating around where it's like the $500 client and it's like all the million questions and blah, blah, blah. And what's your refund policy? And it's like the $50,000 client. It's like money sent. Thanks.
Yeah, like exactly. And it's exactly like that. It really is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. So I wholeheartedly agree. And I've seen that. It's so funny to observe. Now, Michelle, as we get towards the end of our time here together, I always like to ask this question, which is there a question which I haven't asked you that I should have?
Ooh, I think a good question is, if I'm getting started out, what's the first thing that I should do? Like, where do I start? Or I've been spinning my wheels, I've been doing lots of busy work and nothing's working. What would I do next? And it's stop everything. And it's really get clear on what that offer is. Build out the front, come up with the offer, build out the framework so you have confidence in that. Put some pricing behind it that you feel really confident in, so that you feel like people are getting a bargain and you can deliver. Do that first. Don't move past go until you actually have that product. And then when you've got the product, then start asking yourself, who's the best fit for this thing? Who are the people that I need to be talking to? And then think about your content creation and where you're putting that and how you're showing up, and just start to people are spewing stuff all over the internet without ever really thinking about speaking first, and it's like, okay, so if I'm selling this particular thing. So the 5K formula is coming up for sale again shortly. I'm opening it as a live program. So what do you think my content's going to be about?
5K formula, sure.
It's about 5K offers. It's about pricing and packaging your first big ticket offer. It's about how to, make those sales. Everything is going to be in relation to that offer. Obviously you have the lifestyle stuff and all that sort of stuff, but anything that's promotional or I'm going to find a way to create an angle around that particular hook every time, because that's the thing that I want to sell. And the other thing that I would say is, if people, because this is a big one, right? People will always say, I feel really uncomfortable selling myself. Look, I feel uncomfortable putting myself out there and selling myself. And again, that comes back to the product. Like, you're not selling yourself, you're selling a product. So get comfortable selling that, and you get to do that through your messaging.
Yeah, that's so important. And now, Michelle, if anyone's been listening to this and they've said, I really like the sound of this, I want to find out more about what Michelle's up to, where's the best place for them to connect with you online?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, which is my name, michellehext.com. You can also find me on Insta, Michelle Hext, and on Michelle Hext there as well. And drop in and send me a DM and let me know that you've heard this. And if you want any information about the 5K formula, it'll either be on my website or it'll be in my profile on Insta. I can shoot you a message with more details. But that's it. Yeah, just look for my name and you'll find me.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And so, guys, if you're listening to this, above or below in the show notes, we'll have links to Michelle so you can connect with her. And if you know someone who's maybe been doing some coaching, maybe they haven't really cracked their first high ticket offer yet, please share this episode with them so they can get some of Michelle's wisdom into their ears. And hopefully we'll give them some good insights on getting started. But Michelle, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you making the time.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope your listeners take something from it.
I'm sure they will. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Thank you.